Hey guys, and welcome back. So this week I kind of wanted to play with some style options, and mainly because I want to get this comic done, I've been working on line art, and so for this video I thought the most logical thing would to be not to do line art because I'm sick of it, and I'm also a very lazy person, so that's fine. We don't need line art all the time, and I'm sure many of you agree with me. So I thought I would have a look at some lineless art styles, and there's so many different cool styles, but I really wanted to try it in my style, or try and figure out how I could apply it to my style. And I wanted to try and do it without Photoshop, because some of the really cool styles I saw, like when you go into it, a lot of it is like sectioning parts off and then using the gradient fill tool, which is fantastic. But I was like, well, I primarily use Painttool Sci, and it does not have that. But I do have a watercolor brush and a blur brush, so I was like, I can make do. So as you see, I just started with a loose sketch. I'm doing my character April, and I wanted to do her in my normal style, what's my normal evolving style, it'll eventually settle down, and a little chibi style, just to see how it works for both. So naturally, chucked a sketch down. I do eventually put it on a multiply layer and put it on top of my colors just so I can see through it, all that good stuff. And then I put down my flats. And I pretty much just skipped out all the filling in bits because that's a little bit boring and tedious, but that's fine. That's a good time. So we just skip through those. I do feel a bit bad because I consistently throughout this whole video, you'll see, I forget that the chibi's there. And so I'll get real into doing April's full body, and then I'll suddenly come back and I kind of dive between the two. So apologies for that inconsistency. But I did find this really fun. It kind of sometimes defeated the purpose of no line art because I was still going around the outside of all the shapes, which might have just been the way I was doing it. I think I've seen a lot of people use like the lasso tool a lot to go around the outside of their shapes and then just bucket fill it. Which, while I did go around the outside of my shapes with color and then bucket fill, although occasionally I'd be like halfway through scribble coloring in the shapes and be like, Ashley, what are you doing? But that's okay. I don't know if you guys heard that, but the big old German Shepherd is groaning in the background like a crazy boy. When he's tired, he doesn't appreciate people talking, but that's okay. But yeah, I tried to mainly just stick with gradient stuff, but as you can see here, especially for the hair, I just wanted to put in a few extra details. And as you can also very clearly see, I don't understand how hair works. In particular, I don't understand how hair works when it's, I've only seen it done before, I don't know the actual terms for it, but it's not quite like dreadlocking, but it's the curls where it's twisted back along the scalp. And hopefully someone knows what that's called and can fill me in if I forget to go Google it, which is very, very likely. But yeah, so I just chucked some lines in, pretended that hair has no rules. Chances are it really doesn't. And then went into the jersey. And as you can see, because there are no lines to kind of separate everything, when I was putting in the outline for this, I overlapped the skin slightly, and that was just to make sure that there was no gaps. And then when there was bits like the fingers, I just went completely over them and then erased the shirt out from over top of it, because it was just easier than drawing around it to begin with. And the end of the fingers kind of fit better with the shape of the eraser taking the color out rather than when you're putting it in. Although as you can see, I kind of gave up and had to do it again anyway. But that's fine, because once again I got to go over the edges a wee bit and We'll pretend that was on purpose. Although, it really wasn't, I'm just hopeless. But that's okay. I was actually pretty confused when I started this, how lineless is. Because I've seen heaps of styles, and they were really cool. But like, as you can see here, I still, where things overlap, so like where the jaw overlaps the neck, where, especially on the chibi, where the cheeks and the side of the face overlap the ears, I still lined them out. And I've seen both styles where you can kind of use line art in your lineless, or you just use the shading, the kind of gradient shading to really separate them. And I thought about it, but in the end I really liked the line, the kind of more subtle line work, because it's not like big black lines through it, like normal line art that I would usually do. So yeah, it worked. I end up using the lasso tool here instead, when I kind of remembered that's a thing that exists in Painttool side, and used it for the shading, which once again I used the watercolor brush, which I'm pretty sure is just a standard setting on Painttool side. I don't remember playing with that. And sectioned off the bits, but then I haven't played with the lasso settings, so everything was a bit jagged, I guess. So I went back with the blur tool and smoothed things off, and I actually really liked that. And then it was me just trying to remember how to shade, if I ever knew how to shade in the first place. But yeah, but I wanted to keep it simple, because I feel like the styles that I saw done lineless that I really liked were really simple, and I wondered if I kind of overcomplicated it, maybe trying to put my normal style into it. But I feel like this is still something I really want to work with, because it was just actually so much fun working in this style. And once again, I got to skip line art, and for me that's a big win, even though that should be something I'm working on. But that's okay. We win some and we lose some. I'll get back at it. I think throughout this, my big learning points were, again, with that kind of subtle line art with the skin and the hair. Doing this again, I would like to put those lines on a separate layer. And this is mainly like with the hair, it was fine because I put the shading in and then I put the detail over. And then when I kind of came back to it, was like, oh, I haven't done anything for the face. I put the liner on the face, and then I come back, and you'll see in a moment, when I try and do the shading, because everything's on the same layer for the skin, I blur it. And that was a little bit frustrating. And I think too, doing that would let me clean things up a bit more. And also with clothing, you could get more like pattern detail, I guess. As you'll see here when I go into shading the nose, although I think I have cut it out this video, but you'll kind of see that the nostril disappears. And then I have to redraw that in after, which kind of defeated the purpose of drawing it the first time. But we live and we learn, and it's fine. And then I think that's also why I stopped kind of shading the face, because I actually wanted to do some light shading on the side planes of the face to give the more, 3D look, give the face more depth. And in the end, I think, because you can even see there with the ear, when I put in when I use the watercolor brush, I blurred it, and you can even see in this final bit here, the edges of that line art's blurred, which sometimes really works. I didn't actually mind it, but doing it again, I would definitely put the line art on a different layer. The line art that doesn't exist on my lineless art will be on a different layer. And I just did the eyes real simple. I don't think they needed a lot of detail. I think because I tried to keep everything else simplistic, it would have taken too much away. And this was the point that I remembered I had a chibi to draw. So I went in and blocked out the colours and did some shading on those. Got in April's red skinny jeans, which are always a good time. Got the blur black out and made the gradient a bit nicer, and then got rid of all the harsh edges. Although I think I would like to try playing around with having very sharp edges. If I can't play around with the lasso tool to make it crisp, I will just do it with a brush, because I really didn't like how the edge of it was all jagged and pixelated. Was not doing much for me. And then I nearly forgot the little bootsies, but I remembered at the last moment. But I had a moment where I forgot how to draw. But then the little tootsies came, and April had her shoes back on. So yeah, in the end, I had kind of a half body and a little, I don't know, floaty dancey chibi thing. And I was actually quite happy with them. Once again, as I've been noticing with all my art, I want to make certain colours deeper. But for a first go at subtle lineless art, I was actually pretty happy with it. Although now looking over that circle, it needs to be more circle, but that's okay. So thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe for some more. And yeah, bye!